Welcome to the Executive Coaching Podcast, where executive coach Alicia Cowan will discuss leadership topics and coaching solutions to tackle the most difficult problems that keep you from leading your team to success.
Hey there, senior executive leaders. It's Alicia Cowan. It's episode number 75. I can't believe it. 75 is a massive milestone. 75 episodes. It's amazing. Whether you have listened to me for the very first time today or it is your 75th episode, I am grateful for you to be here. And I'm so lucky to get to do what I do. And if you are here for the first time, then I want to let you know, I love to start this episode or every episode with like a quick update about what's going on around the Cowan House, what's going on with me. And it's late September 2025 as I'm recording this today. From a personal update, I am so excited to share. I spent the last couple of days in Disney. I went to Epcot and Magic Kingdom with a friend and neighbor, and she's fantastic. We had such a good time. We had no kids with us. We just did an adult friend Disney couple of days. Food and Wine Festival is going on at Epcot, so we had a really good time getting in and riding all the rides and then trying all the food and wine that we wanted. We then did a day at Magic Kingdom and had a blast together, and it was like great weather, lots of fun, really had a good time. We stayed at the Swan Reserve, which is Marriott Hotel, and it's beautiful. And we ate at some good restaurants too. We went to the Bourbon Steak restaurant. It's in the Dolphin Hotel, that's close to us where we were at the Swan Reserve. And then we also ate at Cake Bake, which is on the boardwalk. And it's this like fantastic restaurant that's got tons of cake, hence the name, and pastries and all these baked goods on the menu, as well as a full service restaurant based on this Indianapolis restaurant that's owned by this woman. I think her name is Gwendolyn. And anyway, so it's her concept of this restaurant that's just really cool and fantastic. So really kind of a special place. So had just the best time. And then we went into this past weekend, it was homecoming dance for my daughter. So we had a lot of girls here at the house getting ready together and did a ton of pictures together. And then they came over after the dance and had ice cream after. So it was kind of a late night last night. And then I also am heading into this weekend, gonna get it ready for the week. I have a couple of new clients that have started recently. So I'm gonna shout out to them. We have a couple of new clients that we're working together that some have received promotions and we're working on their new role and getting ready for the new role and what executive presence is going to look like at that next level, and others that are going after the next role and really chasing that next big goal for themselves, and they're already very accomplished. So really excited about the work with them. So shout out to you, you know who you are, and welcome. It's going to be a fun adventure. All right, so I want to talk about the episode today. We are going to dive into the concept of executive presence and having executive presence without waiting for somebody else to give you permission. And we're going to stop waiting to be taken seriously. So the episode goal for today is really to help you understand and wrap your brain around. If you are in a space where you're waiting for external validation, we're going to stop that. We want to work on creating a belief in our own executive presence that is an internal belief in our own value before anybody else offers it to us. And I'll explain more, of course, what that looks like, but it's going to touch on a couple of different concepts that I've taught before and we've talked about in this podcast. And we're going to talk about how it relates back to executive presence. We've been in this series or season, I suppose, of talking about executive presence since about June. And this is another layer on it. Again, I'm really diving deep in a couple of these episodes to really help you understand some of the layers that are a part of executive presence. Some of it is tactical, some of it's nuts and bolts, and I think I explain that in some of my episodes, but a lot of it is mindset and making mindset shifts and understanding that there's a myriad of things that make up your executive presence. It's not just public speaking and how you show up and make eye contact and remove the ums from your speech. There's other layers to it, and that is what we're going to dive into today. So, to give you an intro into this and why this episode really matters to you, and let me give you a little bit of backstory. So, a lot of leaders come to me and they want to be taken more seriously. They want additional influence and they want more authority. But a lot of times, what I see is they are waiting for permission before they fully show up for it. And that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to work on trying to stop that. So I want to acknowledge here's what's happening at times. At times, there is this unconscious concept called the manual that these executives are carrying with them. Now, I do an entire episode on the manual. You can search it. I think it's pretty early on into my episodes, but it's this belief that you need others to show up in a certain way before you can feel a certain way and then act a certain way. Basically, it's being like kind of a victim to the way that others need to show up and the circumstances that you're in instead of just owning how you show up for yourself. It's like this belief in this situation, talk about executive presence, that others need to approve of you before you can have that executive presence. For you to feel confident and respected and ready to take on that leadership, others need to behave in a certain way, like basically giving you that authority, giving you that respect. And they need to behave that way so that you can feel better about it. So, what does this look like? So, the manual concept. Okay, so this concept of the manual from a coaching angle is we all have this manual for how people should treat us. And that's where the problem lies is that word should. People should behave in a certain way. Again, remember, this is all of our beliefs that we believe about other people. It's not actual facts. It's not what everybody in the whole world would agree upon. It's just what our personal or your personal beliefs are about how others should treat us. Here's the problem with that. If we believe that others need to behave a certain way before we show up, then we're, as a leader, we're giving away our power by believing that our executive presence depends on how other people are following our instructions in this quote unquote manual. So let me give some more examples to this because again, it's sometimes it's a tricky concept to like wrap your brain around, but here's some very like baseline examples that I can think of that I've seen. So I've heard the quote, my boss should recognize me before I speak up, or the board needs to respect me before I contribute, or my peers should defer to me before I assert authority, or my direct reports need to respect me if I ask them to do something. So here's the reality. A lot of this relies on other people acting a certain way before we can start to act and believe in ourselves. And that's the reality here is that presence doesn't start when they behave a certain way or when they believe in you. It actually starts when you believe in you, when you respect yourself, when you have confidence in yourself, not the other way around. The other way around gives the power away to somebody else. In the circumstances or the other person, they have to change before I can feel and act in a certain way. It also says, if you believe this and carry this logic, it's that it's not my fault and it's not my responsibility. It's theirs for not acting the way that they quote unquote should. Now, let me put an asterisk here. It doesn't mean that in certain situations we don't hold direct reports accountable for their actions. It doesn't mean that we don't have boundaries in what we would do and how we behave. But I think what we have to understand is accountability and boundaries are basically us saying what we will do if someone else behaves in the way that they do, how we will hold them accountable, or if we have a boundary, what we'll do if they disrespect us or are inappropriate in the way that they act. It doesn't mean that we control the other person and then if the other person doesn't behave in the way that they should, that I'm going to change my actions, or if I'm dependent upon their actions, would be a better way to say it. So here's what it's costing us. If we are waiting for this external validation to happen, what it's costing us is how we show up. We could show up as hesitant. We could show up in a way that our energy says, I really hope that I belong here, instead of, I know I belong here. And what happens is the room that we step into will read this insecurity. And therefore, it really can undermine our influence before we even say a word. And I'll believe this truly, that people will treat you the way that you treat yourself first. Okay. And so I think it's really important to analyze the self concept and really look at where you might be showing up in a way that might be undermining what you're doing. So here's this core coaching concept that I want to talk about of self validation. Executive presence, again, it's not given by somebody else in the room, it's actually created within you. And so the thought work question I want you to work on is, what if I stop needing their permission to take up space? What if they don't have to behave and or act the way that I want them to before I can own my own leadership actions? So a couple of reframes that you can use here is, instead of waiting for respect, lead as if you're already respected. I was coaching a leader just in the past couple of weeks. We had this situation occur. Like, they were basically going into a situation with direct reports saying that how they wanted to show up was really dependent on other people. Basically, they wanted the other people to respect them, and they were going to do this through their actions versus the other person showing up in a way as if they were already respected. It was really dependent on the other people in the situation, and having control over the other people in the situation and them acting in a certain type of way. And it just wasn't possible for this leader to control these people. Okay, never is. Never. We just cannot control our people. If we could, it would be a much easier situation to lead in. And that is just not where we are in the world as executives. And so this one is a very powerful, powerful reframe. Another option for you is, instead of waiting for belonging, again, this is acceptance for others, belonging, but based on how others are going to treat you, show up like you already belong. Instead of waiting for authority, speak with authority. Okay. Again, just a few options for you. Again, they don't notice none of these, they do not wait for others to show up in a way in order for you to think and act in a powerful leadership way. And that's the difference there. So that's the caveat I want to give you. Again, these are just examples you can totally pull from your own, but just notice that when you start putting the power in somebody else's hands, that's when you shift into that mindset of being dependent. So here's another exercise that I can give you for executive presence and building on your self-concept. So you can write your own executive presence self-concept statement. That is a mouthful. Let me break it down to something really simple. So here's a statement you can use. So if you write this down, I am a leader who, then you got a blank, fill in the blank, because I believe blank. So I'll say that one more time. I am a leader who, blank, fill in your own blank, because I believe blank. So here's an example of what I mean by that. I'm a leader who brings clarity, that's my blank, because I believe, and here's my next fill in the blank, my perspective matters. Second example, I am a leader who commands authority because I believe I've already earned my seat at the table. Okay. Again, couple of variations there. I challenge you, write a couple of variations, try maybe 3 on this week and choose one to live out and try on this week. Again, these are just drafts. So you can edit them, you can audit them, you can see how they feel, and then choose the variety of those statements that work for you. I am a leader who, because I believe, really simple statement, okay? And it can help you walk into the room. Again, notice all of it is I based, what I believe, who I am as a leader, not based on how others need to show up or give me permission to show up. And so I want to throw this out there. Many leaders, they just can't see where they're waiting for permission. This is why coaching matters. What I do is I help leaders uncover some of those hidden thoughts that are stealing their executive presence and their authority. Why this matters is that they can now lead with the self-confidence now and not wait on somebody else. And they don't have to wait till later for some situation or circumstance to change for how they show up. I coached a leader on this earlier this year. They were very dependent on how other people needed to behave and show up in a certain way for them to feel as if they could lead in the way that they were meant to. And it took a while for them to really see this pattern and to see where they were showing up in this way. And it helped them through coaching evolve into a place where they could understand what they were willing to accept, what they were willing to own, and what they were willing to change. And again, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to completely pivot away from what we're doing and how we're acting. But even that awareness and that simple awareness can really help us uncover where we are waiting for permission. And we get to decide what we want to do from there and how to change. So here's what I want to recap. Again, executive presence starts with you as a leader. You've got to stop waiting. And so if you have any of those statements in your vocabulary where you're waiting or deferring to somebody else to give you the authority to do what you want to do as a leader, you got to notice that and look at where you want to start to step into it now. So here's my invitation to you. We can go deeper into this work. I invite you, if you want to talk more thoroughly about your own situation where you might be holding back, or you want to work on executive presence, book a call with me. We can talk about what that might look like, what's going on for you, and how we could work together. If you want to reach out to me, go to my website. It's really simple. It's EliciaCowan.com. It's ElisiaKeown coaching.com. I'm so glad to talk to you about any of this. And again, don't hold back. Don't wait for permission. Notice where you're doing this and own your own authority and your own executive presence. All right, friends, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Executive Coaching Podcast with Alicia Cowan. If you're ready to have an executive coach who's ready to help you lead your team to success, then book an introductory call at aliciacowancoaching.com/call.